Listen, I'm all about the people. And the people mean something to me because we are all a product of each other. And the reason why I call my channel Slay Excellence is because you literally have to think like that at every time. Like, not put any pressure on yourself, but to be the best version of yourself. And from day to day, that's gonna be a different challenge. Some days it's gonna be easier to be the best version of yourself because everything is working in your favor. But then there's other days where things are going completely opposite and you still gotta stay in who you are, because outward distractions, outward things are going to try to change or have you looking at life a lot differently than you would and do things that you would probably say you would never do. And that's the reason why I don't like saying never, because to say never would mean that the very thing that you say you would never do is impossible for you to do. And it's not, because the very things that make other people do what they did, or the very things that you think that you would never do, are all situation based. You can be put in a situation where that may be the only logical thing you think to do at the time, or you get so low that the very thing you think that you would never do becomes something that's on your mind and you don't even care no more to do. You just like, whatever, let's just forget it, I'll do it. And that's the reason why I try to be uplifting, because you could be the very person that person needs to talk to keep them from going farther down the rabbit hole. And see, me, if I even get the slightest impression that a person needs some type of motivation or need a type of uplift, I'm gonna reach out, gonna instantly reach out. But at the same time, not everybody responds to you trying to rescue them. And that's why pride is one of the worst things to have, especially if you at the bottom. Because now you could have 30 hands reaching to help you out, but you're looking at 29 of them hands like, I would never take your hand to get up out of where I'm at. And see, me, I threw all that to the wind, because if I want to be where I want to be, if I want to be happy, even if that person got to take the credit for the rest of their life, so be it. I'm not going to let my pride get in my way. And I'd be quick to reach into those dark places to reach people that I was once in those dark places that they are in now. Could easily be back in those dark places. And that's the reason why I'm reaching out. It's not to make anybody feel like they less of a person. It's not to make anybody feel like they couldn't do it on their own. But sometimes that person reaching out their hand to pull you up is exactly all you need to get up and keep walking yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm that person in the race. You trip and fall behind me, I'll go all the way to last place to pick you up, or fall to last place to pick you up, so that we both can finish this race. Because at the end of the day, to be the winner is all circumstantial. And when you win, the last thing you want everybody to be looking at you like, oh, I hate him, or I can't stand him. And trust me, people gonna hate you regardless. So you gotta do what makes you happy. And for a lot of time in my life, getting to the finish line was what everybody around me told me that was the best thing to do. You gotta get to the finish line. You gotta finish first. You gotta be the best. You gotta win. But winning doesn't always equate to the same thing. Sometimes winning for yourself is helping those people you care about, or somebody you don't know, or somebody you feel sorry for somebody that you felt like you was just like them, or you understand their circumstances, you understand how they think. You know what I'm saying? When I give out advice, I'm not giving out advice that I feel like worked for me. My advice comes from like a teacher's mindset, whereas I'm using the best methods to help you learn, help you to figure out what it is. And the more people I talk to, the more lessons I learn on how to help other people. I'm always watching motivational videos. I'm always trying to learn abstract ways of talking to people, reaching out to people. Whatever the approach is, I'm always looking to pick it up. Because at the end of the day, the people around you are more important than any victory you can ever get. Serving the people around you gives you more purpose than any win you could ever get. There is no win that means anything if there's nobody around. Nobody around. And to be honest, my victories come in me beating myself. I watched this video where Kevin Hart's talking about beating himself, waking up every day trying to outdo what he did or be a better version of himself or to learn lessons that he didn't know about or improve on things that he once was not good at. And that's the way I look at life. Like, I had this, I guess you could say, debate with somebody, and my whole thing was, I don't have time to stop for like certain things that I feel like happen in my life that make me that some people would say, oh well, you need to like take some time off to, you know what I'm saying? And in some situations that is the best thing to do. But you can't go into everything thinking you're gonna have like or have every situation take you out for a good 10 or 20 minutes. There's gonna be times where you're gonna have to play through something. And if you have no practice, if you have no training, no experience at playing through stuff, going through stuff, and still trying to do what you gotta do, you're not gonna be ready for anything. You're not. Life is not set up for success for people that have to take time away from what they're doing to go and cater to something that they're thinking about. And I'm not saying that you're not supposed to do that. What I'm saying is be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. If you feel like you can't push on, then the mindset of how you deal with things has to change. And that's the thing that I really was trying to speak on. Like, you really got to be like, all right, bet. This is a little hard for me, but I don't have time right now to do that. That's just like, like if you get a flat tire, you stop right there, you fix that flat tire. You know what I'm saying? But there's times where you on a road and you're going to have to turn them emergency lights on. And you're going to have to ride that flat tire till you can get to somewhere where you can pull your car over. Every place ain't going to allow you to just stop and ride that and sit that flat tire car right in the middle of wherever you at. You know what I'm saying? So every situation is different. And you got to be able to do both. You got to have experience with doing both. You know what I'm saying? You cannot just be like, all right, well, every time I get a flat tire, the car got to stop right there. The car got to stop right there. And that's not you see people riding with their emergency lights on, getting to the gas station or trying to get to a certain place or whatever it is. Every situation is different. And that's the reason I tell people, like, it's okay to say, okay, my mental health needs to be checked. But when you give yourself training or you put yourself in those situations where you're like, all right, I'm not really feeling myself today, but I'm gonna push through it. I'm gonna go out here, do what I gotta do, and I'm gonna try to find a way to get through this feeling that I got. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you pushing through that helps you get over it a lot quicker than you would have if you just sat where you was at and said, okay, I need to get myself together. That's fine and good. So what I'm trying to explain is that there's balance needed. It's not always about you just taking time off to get your mind right. Sometimes you really gonna have to just be like, all right, this is what I need to do. I can't stop right now, but when I get a chance, I'm gonna focus on this and I'm gonna deal with what I gotta deal with. Because what happens is we set ourselves up for being crutches. And the more times we sit on the sidelines, every time we get a little nick or a bruise or something like that, the more comfortable we get sitting on the sidelines and coddling those bruises and stuff like that. So my thing is not like not ignoring your mental health, but understanding that you're gonna have to strengthen it. And that's the reason why I talk about, like, just like with exercise, you always see those strong people, right? Like they come to the gym really, really big, and they be like, all right, bet, this is what I need to do. I'm about to come in here and lift all these weights, and they lifting heavy stuff that you don't even think you can lift. But sure, over time, they got to that point. That strong man in the gym, he got to the point where he can lift 450 pounds. And it don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? So that's what you got to do in those stressful situations. You have to find a way to exercise your mind so that you can get through it. Because just like that strong man at the gym, he takes days off. He takes time to get healthy. He takes time to do things other than be at the gym. So I'm not saying you don't take time off because you want to be strong. You can get strong by doing exactly what you need to do. So that's my thing. Everybody might not agree with it, but just like with every motivational speech you hear or every motivational, video, it's tailored to the perception of the person. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to give broad motivational advice that applies to everybody because everybody doesn't think the same. Everybody doesn't view things the same. And the worst thing you can do is to give advice or motivation, a motivational speech in a way that makes the person feel like they're incapable of picking it up and doing it their way or making it their own. If the motivation isn't going to motivate you, then it didn't do his job. You know what I mean? And I see a lot of videos where you got them guys yelling at the screen, doing all this rah-rah stuff. And at times, that is exactly what you need. And then there's other times where that ain't gonna help you. You know what I'm saying? And those rah-rah guys, they, I'm telling you, it's people that overkill everything. You have to have balance in everything. You know what I'm saying? Because if you got a woman with 4 kids and, you know what I'm saying, she watching it, and that rah-rah stuff ain't doing nothing for her. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand that everybody's motivation isn't yours. So if you driven to be, basketball player or something, the motivational advice that you give to that person ain't going to be the same you give to a mother with 3 kids. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I like to use tactical ways of encouraging people. This is not about me. It's not for me. You know what I'm saying? The advice I'm giving is from my own experience, but I'm thinking about who it can help. And that's all this really should be about. If the teacher comes into the class looking to teach the whole class based on what she feel like she knows, she probably lost more than 75% of the class. You know what I'm saying? You gotta sometimes you gotta dumb down your message. You gotta make it a little easier to digest for certain people. And that's by no means making everybody feel comfortable. But the smart person in the room be like, I already know this. But there's a message for that person too. And the teacher gotta address each one specifically to what that person needs. So that person that feels like, oh, this class is getting dumbed down. Okay. Well, we'll give you something else to work on in the meantime. I'll address the rest of the class and get them up to speed so that we all can run at the same pace that you're running at. Because if you're trying to tailor it to all the smart kids in your class, or the people that's picking it up quickly, or the people that's learning at a rapid pace, that's fine and good. Until those other kids are failing and they're getting left behind. Your success as a teacher has to be able to be adaptable. Every year you're going to get a different set of kids with a different set of problems, with a different set of abilities. And working with each one based on what they're good at and how they can enhance and feel confident in what they're doing. Because I'm telling you, talking over people's head doesn't make that person feel confident. You know what I'm saying? It's about making sure that they got what you're trying to tell them. So my motivation is literally to touch the hearts of the people that I'm trying to talk to so that they can realize that their purpose is bigger than just, oh, I lost my job. That's not your purpose. You wasn't born to feel like you have to give up because you lost your job. That's not your purpose. If you feel like you didn't do a good job as a parent, that's not your job that's not your purpose to give up after you didn't think you did a well enough job, because the fact that you care enough to feel that way means that there's something you can do about it. The most amazing things happen when people care enough to keep pursuing it. And no matter how slow your progress is, it's progress. That's why I tell you, you gotta love yourself enough to understand that your progress is your progress. And at any point, it can start to pick up to a pace that you be like, oh, okay. It's just like with anything you learn. The first couple times, or the first few moments, or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? The beginning of the process normally is the most challenging and grueling. But once you get comfortable with it, it becomes easier. You see these people that go from 350 pounds to 125 pounds, and the whole entire time is different. The whole entire process is different. The beginning is really grueling, but towards the end, or not the end, because the process continues even after you thought you're done. It's a process to maintain it. It's a process to continually eat right. Just like if a person was fighting an addiction, just like a person that's doing weightlifting and getting their body right, you can easily go back to where you were. Easily. You can put that weight right back on easily. It's not that you got to a point where you done worked on so much that you can't go back. Everybody can go back. I could put on 350 myself, but everybody's wired differently. And so you have to set your training up. And a prime example, when I work with people at the gym and I'm just, going through little different things to just see how they handle it. My first day of working with them isn't to push them to the extent that they're hurting, because I understand that if they haven't done this in a while, or haven't done it ever, that me making their body hurt ain't gonna make them come back. You know what I'm saying? And that's with anything. You want returns. Putting work out there and doing something without getting returned back is unsuccessful in any business. So always focus on getting a person to want to return, encouraging them to return. I don't even care if it takes them 2 weeks to come back to you. I'm like, man, I ain't out. But if you push them too far, they assuming that everything gonna be just like what you did the first time. So be adaptable, adjust, listen to the person talking to you, listen to the person you're working with. And that's why I always say, like, when I go to give a person motivational advice, I'm not talking about my experiences. I used to do that a lot. I'd be like, oh, they tell me about what they're going through, and I'm like, man, I've been through that too, you know what I'm saying? And I don't even allow them to talk about what they're going through. But now I'm more take it back, I'm listening to what you say, not because I want them to feel like I'm like listening. I want to listen because I want to know exactly how it affected you, how long you've been dealing with it, how does it make you feel on a regular basis, how hard is it for you to get up in the morning or go to sleep at night when you're thinking about what you're thinking about. I want to fully understand the struggle that they're going through, because then I know that I feel like I can work with them in a different setting. I don't have to necessarily use my experience that may not even be relatable to them. And a lot of times people's ears get cut right off after you start talking too much about yourself. So I talk as little about myself as possible. I ask a lot of questions. So, okay, man, I had a long day. I'm like, you did? What happened? Dog, I don't even feel like talking about it. See, and I try to work them into it. Like, I'm not rushing you. I'm not trying to push you over the cliff. I just want you to be comfortable. And so sometimes even when a person's like, oh man, I don't feel like talking about it, I'll just sit back and wait. I don't feel like talking about it, I understand, man. And just get quiet. And then you let them talk. Give them an opportunity to be like, to think about it and to process it. Because sometimes that's the first opportunity they had to even put the thoughts together to even tell you what they're going through.